The war that we are facing is so serious that it deals with high-level senior officers within the criminal justice system. Therefore, it is important for us to go into a combat mode.
South Sudan President Salva Kiir has dismissed the army chief after 7 months in the role and appointed a successor. No explanation was provided for the dismissal of Paul Majok. Majok had held the position since December. The announcement indicated that Kiir has named Dan Atong as the new chief of defense forces. Majok was overseeing the army during ongoing clashes between the military and the White Army, an ethnic militia primary made up of male youth, which has led to the latest political turmoil in the country. The World Food Programme says that over 40,000 people in South Sudan's conflict-ridden Upper Nile region are desperately hungry. In response, the organization has begun dropping food by air, its first humanitarian aid delivery to the region in the last 4 months. The World Food Programme South Sudan Country Director Mary Ellen Magrotti said livelihoods have been destroyed, people displaced, and they are at risk of famine because of the conflict. Magrotti described the World Food Programme airdrops as crucial and critical to bringing people back from the brink of famine. The agency said the continued fighting in the region was hampering the humanitarian effort, as reaching thousands of displaced people poses additional challenges. Upper Nile has been the scene of fighting between government troops and armed militia that oppose the government of President Salva Kiir. The fighting has led to UN warnings that South Sudan is again on the brink of a civil war.
Livelihoods have been destroyed, people have been displaced, and now people are at a real risk of famine because of the conflict. These airdrops that we've started over the last couple of days are crucial and critical to push back that risk and bring people back from the brink of famine.
The majority are women and children and people with special needs, including the elderly. They have come here with nothing, without food, without shelter. The only things that they have, some of them are a little bundle of clothes that are tied in some clothes that they have. They have nothing else in their possession.
Deputy Prosecutor for the International Criminal Court, Nazat Shahmin Khan, has reported the deteriorating human crisis in Sudan to the United Nations Security Council. As civil war continues to impact the region, Shamshin Khan explained that famine was escalating and humanitarian aid was not reaching those in their need of it, warning that the situation in Sudan could worsen. Humanitarian organizations are warning about attack on healthcare facilities, alleging they are happening as mass atrocities are being committed against civilians. Sudan's civil war broke out in April 2023 after tensions between the Sudanese army and the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) escalated to fighting across the country. Over 40,000 people have been killed and nearly 30 million displaced, including other countries exposure to disease outbreak like cholera, which remains hard to contain due to Sudan's collapsed healthcare system. Last month, Sudan's military accepted a UN proposal for a week-long ceasefire in El Fasher to allow aid delivery. However, the RSF explicitly agreed to the truce and engaged in renewed clashes with the army in the southern part of the city.
To address the Security Council today. Please allow me to also express my thanks to His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Sudan to the United Nations, for his attendance. I was pleased to hold a constructive and collaborative meeting with him yesterday ahead of this briefing. Mr. President, Excellencies, we come together at a time when it can seem difficult to find appropriate words to describe the depth of suffering in Darfur. The humanitarian position has reached an intolerable state. Hospitals, humanitarian convoys, and other civilian objects are apparently being
former state apology to the victims of the country to civil war between 1989 and 2003 during an official ceremony. According to reports, an estimated 250,000 people died during the two conflicts, with many more wounded or psychologically broken by rape. While the apology is a step in the direction of reconciliation, Liberia leadership has long been criticized for failing to prosecute the perpetrators of potential war crimes. Prosecutions have taken place in foreign tribunals, notably in Switzerland, France, Sweden, and the United States, but none in Liberia. In the 2024, Liberia government, however, endorsed a vote to set up a long-awaited tribunal of its own. The decision to set up the tribunal has been welcomed internationally, with both individual countries and the United Nations encouraging the political will in Liberia to prosecute war criminals. Police in Kenya clashed with demonstrators during anti-government protests as the authorities blocked major roads leading into the capital, Nairobi, and most businesses closed. According to government-funded national rights watchdog, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, at least 10 people died and 29 people were reported injured nationwide. Protesters lit bonfires and oil stone at police in roadblocks, and police fired an all tear gas canister, injuring one demonstrator. Kenya had planned demonstration on July 7 to protest against police brutality, poor governance, and to demand President William Ruto's resignation over alleged corruption and the high cost of living. July 7, known as Sabasaba, is a significant date in Kenya's recent history, marking the first major protest 35 years ago that called for a transition from a one-party state to a multi-party democracy, which was realized in the 1992 elections.
People who killed our young people in the last year maandamanos, they have not been brought to account for their actions. They are continuing to perpetrate murder against their citizens. A government that has turned itself into a terrorist unit against its own people must not be called a government.
We wanted peaceful demonstrations, but now tear gas is all over. We can't work. We are being shot with bullets. Ruto should humble himself and listen to Gen Z.
Meanwhile, Kenya President William Ruto has ordered police forces to shoot protesters in the leg with the aim to incapacitate anyone trying to damage businesses and curb vandalism. The move comes as the situation in the country has been worsening, with anti-government protests rocking the capital and neighboring areas. At least 31 people were killed in the worst death toll of the protests so far, according to reports. Kenya police, meanwhile, said that 11 people died. More than 500 were reportedly arrested during the Sabasaba protests, which marked the 35th anniversary of Kenya's transition to multi-party democracy. Several acts of vandalism and destroyed businesses were reported in Nairobi in the aftermath of the protest. President Ruto, while speaking at the opening of a police station, said that he will use whatever means necessary to stabilize the country. The Senegalese Navy has intercepted 201 West African migrants in the west of the country, as the Atlantic Ocean crossing remains the most popular and deadliest migration route from Africa to Europe. Senegalese authorities announced that the operation was carried out by the Senegalese Marine Base in Fondou-Guinée. According to the statement, 69 people were arrested on land, while 132 others were intercepted aboard a small wooden boat. While migration to Europe has been steadily declining, the Atlantic Ocean crossing between West Africa and Spain Canary Island has resurfaced since 2020. Figures from the Spanish Interior Ministry showed that nearly 47,000 people landed in the Canaries in 2024. The crossing is one of the deadliest in the world, although there is no precise death toll due to a lack of information on departures from West Africa. Those arrested were of various West African nationalities, including several women and children. While most migrants leaving Senegal are young men, aid workers in the Canary Islands said that they are increasingly seeing women and children risking their lives. In Senegal, travel attempts increases in winter as the change of season reduces the intensity of waves, but migrants choose to take the risk year-round. Elsewhere, at least 1,200 migrants have been detained in the Greek island of Crete and the nearby island of Barbados over the past 3 days following a surge in arrival from Libya. Multiple boats were intercepted off Crete's southern coast, prompting regional officials to request additional government assistance. Migrants typically make the 350-kilometer journey to Crete in the unseaworthy boat, often hastily constructed to survive a single. For years, the European Union has been funding, training, and equipping the Libyan coast to prevent smugglers from transporting migrants and refugees to Europe in makeshift boats. However, the Coast Guard has faced repeated accusations of mistreatment of asylum seekers, leading many NGOs to denounce the policy. Authorities in eastern Libya have refused 3 European ministers and the EU Commissioner for Migration entry into the country due to an alleged entry violations on their arrival at the Libyan capital of Tripoli. A statement from the Prime Minister of the eastern part of Libya, Osama Ahmad, Greek Migration and Asylum Minister Tanos Pevris, Italian Interior Minister Matteo Piantedosi, and Maltese Home Affairs Minister Brown Camilleri, as well as EU Migration Commissioner Magnus Bruno, were persona non grata after they were denied entry shortly after their arrival in Benghazi. It is said the minister had entered illegally and had not followed Libyan diplomatic conventions. He urged the delegation to engage Libyan government in accordance with the principle of reciprocity as enshrined in international agreement, treaties, and diplomatic customs. The delegation was visiting Libya, seeking tougher migration measures against boat carrying migrants from Libya. The EU has spent years and millions of euros trying to stem the people smuggling operations. 4 people have died from the injuries sustained in a fire that engulfed a major telecom communication company in downtown Cairo, Egypt, and leaving over a dozen injured. According to report, the blaze, which erupted at the iconic 10-story Telecom Egypt building and persisted for several hours, originated in one of the halls on the floor designated for telecom operators and spread to the other levels due to its severity. The 4 deceased were employees of the company who were present in the burning structure, as stated by the Workers' Union. As of Tuesday's afternoon, the Health Ministry provided an update indicating that 27 individuals have been hospitalized, although some have been released. The ministry confirmed that 4 bodies were retrieved from the scene. The fire took place a few kilometers from where a deadly blaze at a train station in 2019 killed at least 25 people and injured at least 45 others. A Tunisia court has sentenced one of the country's most prominent opposition leaders, Rach Ghannouchi, to 40 years in prison, adding to a string of convictions that he received in other cases. The leader of Tunisia Ennahda movement, Ghannouchi, was among those sentenced as part of a sweeping case in which politicians were charged with conspiring against state security. Several other detained members of his party were sentenced to 12 years. Ghannouchi's party rose to power after Tunisia became the first country in the region to oust a long-time dictator as part of the Arab Spring. The all-powerful rebel leader Ali Darassa has officially put down his weapon to signal the end of his rebellion and the dissolution of his Unity for Peace in Central African Republic rebel group. President Faustin Archange Touadera, who witnessed the symbolic gesture in the capital, Bangui, commended the leader of the group and peace agreement that was signed between the two rebels. A complaint has been filed in Brussels, Germany, against 9 family members of the President of Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi. The accused, who are Belgian nationals, face allegation of stealing from mines located in the provinces of Lualaba and Upper Katanga in the southern part of the country. Those named in the complaint include Tshisekedi's sister-in-law, sons, brothers, cousins, and even the First Lady of the country. The trial of Congo former Minister of Justice Constant Mutamba has been postponed for 2 weeks after its opening hearing in Kinshasa's court. Mutamba stepped down last month following an investigation that he embezzled $19 million. He was accused of stealing funds intended to finance the construction of a prison in the northern city of Kinshasa. Mutamba has denied all the allegations, claiming the case against him was part of plot by the Rwanda government to silence him. And now to sport. The Super Falcons of Nigeria are aiming to finish as Group B winners in the Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco as they battle familiar foes Algeria in Casablanca tonight. A draw will be enough for the 9-time African champions to retain top spot after victories over Tunisia and Botswana earned them a ticket to the quarterfinals. Nigeria will be without USA-based midfielder Deborah Abiodun, who received yellow cards in both matches against Tunisia and Botswana. In Group A, Morocco and Zambia booked their spot in the quarterfinals of the Women's African Cup of Nations by edging Senegal with a lone goal, while Zambia also defeated Democratic Republic of Congo with the same goal to advance. And with that story coming from Casablanca in Morocco, that will be the wrap on the program today. Join us next week for another edition of African News. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.